Hello, Culture Matters Podcast. I am so excited to introduce you to our guest. Before I do that, here's a quote just for this episode. If you believe in something, you need to have the courage to fight for those ideas, not run away from them or try to silence them. Charlie Kirk. Our guest today has been fighting and clawing and scraping and listening and inquiring and selling and handshaking and promising and over delivering his way to success from pivoting from mediocrity and obscurity to monumental success as a leader, as a mentor, as a friend of the Culture Matters podcast. Yes, he has been on the show before. Episode 343, Commit to the Outcome. He's even led to some of your favorite guests, like the one and only Glenn Campbell, who's been on the show at least twice. What a breath of fresh air. Our guest today started a business in the real estate industry that metamorphosed into media with his show, The Necessary Entrepreneur. It's unbelievable, stupendous, amazing. His company, PIVOT Realty, that not only helps people get into the real estate business, but learn how to be people through the business of real estate and the commercial investing that he's done for his family, buying under misunderstood, under leveraged, underutilized assets and refurbishing them, making them great, and inspiring people along the way. I had the privilege, great privilege, of seeing his um, cathedral of inspiration. Not shoot, less than 2 years ago. It's pretty amazing and inspiring. And I gotta say, I've been very excited all day for the prospects that I'd be able to record with our guest late into the night, the wee hours, and his team, damn, coming in late. This might be the longest intro I've ever done for the show, but I'm pivoting to long intros from now on. Here we go. The one, the only Mark Perkins.
Hey man, thanks for not just we often say thanks for having us on, but you know, as our show evolves, I evolve as a human, my businesses evolve. I'm just more attracted to just good conversation, and because there's always great things that come from good conversation. I know that's what it's always going to be with you. There's going to be quotes that you throw out that we've never heard of that we're like, how haven't we heard of that? You're going to quote people from the past and all the brilliant folks, the Socrates and all the way. You're going to quote them. We're like, man, that's who said the thing. You have Thomas Sowell on the wall beside you. Charlie Munger's your dude. I think you started out by saying a quote by Charlie Kirk. I mean, I wasn't necessarily a follower of him. And I think the reason why that's relevant and real to say is that seems to be the problem right now in society. And listen, it was the problem, and it's been the problem for a while, even before, what happened last week. I mean, everybody knows what happened, with him dying. And it's been a problem for a long time that we don't like and we want to fight people who have different beliefs and opinions than we do. And really, at the end of the day, these businesses we start, these friendships that we build, these authentic relationships that we have, there's no one in my life, no one that believes everything 100% the way that I believe. I have a Muslim friend. I didn't know growing up in the conservative religious environment that I would ever have a Muslim friend.
Wow.
I don't care what his religion necessarily is. I just know he's a quality human being. And I also remember growing up, man, we weren't talking religion and politics. And I'm assuming that I grew up, poor like so many other people, financially. But we didn't judge each other based upon what we believed politically and what we believed religiously. And maybe we stayed more in our bubble because social media wasn't there. We'd turn on the news and it was just the three national stations. There wasn't everybody giving opinions. But I just know when you would go out and meet people, I think it goes back to Martin Luther King. Like I wasn't the biggest civil rights guy and all that. I stay in my lane. I just know civil rights was good,
Mm.
but I didn't grow up saying, "Don't judge me based upon the color of my skin," but the character I have. Something's happened. Something has definitely happened and broken in society where we don't even try to get to know who people are anymore. And um, I think the authenticity behind all my businesses, I just try to show up, man, for everybody every day and try to make a difference in their life, regardless of their religion, regardless of their politics, regardless if they have differences than me. And when I slow down to open up my mind and open up my brain, I usually learn something from somebody that I didn't know before. So you started out the quote by saying, when you believe in something, something about like going all in, or what was the quote again? Can you say it?
Yeah. If you believe in something, you need to have the courage to fight for those ideas, not run away from them or try and silence them.
Yeah. Listen, how my brain operates and how I work, not just this guy that people think is, really successful in the business world, but I don't understand if you believe in anything and you state that. I don't understand why you wouldn't fight for it. And I'm not talking about a physical fight. We're talking about actually the effort behind it, the mindset, the energy, the sacrifice, the commitment to share what you're trying to do with the world. I personally can't comprehend if you're going to say or document that you believe in something. I don't understand that how you wouldn't fight for it. So maybe there's just a lot of things in this world that people talk about that they really don't believe.
Hmm. I am curious about you said something earlier. We don't even try to get to know the other side, essentially.
What do you think about
How,
that? Do you see that?
yeah, and I wanted to ask you how if there's things that you've learned from leading those that are in and those with a certain degree of independence. If
Mm,
I think of a real estate professional,
mm,
I think of one who's pursuing a degree of independence.
mm,
You've led these leaders.
mm.
Are there things that you've done, whether intentionally or unintentionally, but recognize, oh, that works, oh, that works, to get people from disparate walks of life, differing everything, to come together and learn and work? And are there things that have worked for you that maybe you could impart that wisdom on her?
What I have figured out that fundamentally works in every one of these environments that I operate in daily: interpersonal relationships, friendships, building the real estate company, building all the other businesses. I reflect on how I've gotten to where I am, and I had to be more interested in everyone else than I was in myself. It was required. And
Huh.
I had to learn growing up. I wanted to talk just like everyone else. I want to share my opinions. Every one of us has an opinion on everything. And if we're really honest about it, a lot of us aren't really interested in listening to other people's opinion. So how about you flip the script and just listen to them and unlock them? I just know every time that I
Wow.
ask a question about, like, hey, where were you born? Or ask a question, do you have any siblings? Or ask a question like, hey, where'd this journey start? This career that you have right now, like, where'd that start? Every time you ask a deep question about somebody's background, about them,
Hmm.
about how they got here, you will unlock a journey over the next 10 to 15 to 20 minutes that even if you don't say another word, they'll walk away from the conversation thinking you're amazing. And whatever you're selling, whatever you're representing, whatever you're trying to do with the world, they want to be a part of it.
Where were you born? About their family,
Yeah.
how they started their journey, their hero's journey.
Wherever they're at right now. Like if I asked you the question, which, we're going to take an hour tonight, but if I'd say, Jay, man, this is crazy. You're on 1,008 podcast. That's what I think tonight is, you said. Something like that.
Today.
Okay, 1,008. I'm like, man, I have 145 on my show. And
Congratulations.
well,
Wow.
yeah, but I know the effort that went into the 145. and where our journey started, I wouldn't even say that, but I'd say, Jay, 1008. Take me to the place of your mindset when you did the first.
Jeb Blunt, smart guy,
You serious?
prolific author. Yeah.
You know,
Sales
he was
machine.
just
He's a
on our show.
sales
You know
machine.
that. Is that why you said that?
No, I didn't know that. He was the first. Yeah. Dean Driver was the
Sales
second.
gravy, right?
I love that guy. So smart. Brother's a professor too, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. He was just on
smart.
last week.
No way. If you
Mhm.
see him again, tell him I miss him. I'd love to have him back. He should come back for 1,101.
So, how did you get him on the first one?
He was on before it was the show. How did I man, how did I meet Jeb? We got to put some thought. I owe somebody a box of chocolates.
Hmm.
I owe somebody a box of chocolates. That's one thing. Like I like to look and who are my referral partners?
Yeah. You're a connector, right?
Who
You're
refers these
yeah.
unbelievable people to my life?
So, who's your best? Who's
Mark
your best?
Perkins, Glenn
No, no,
Campbell.
I'm going to
Let's
send you one.
go.
No. So, who do you think? You probably won't document it here because you're going to give up your gold, but do you know who your best referral partner is for sending you the best guests on the podcast?
Well, so quantity, Tony Capullo, shout out to Tony Capullo, who I met through the real Brad Lee. There's only one Brad Lee. That's the real Brad Lee. Man, Tony has sent so many unbelievable people to the show over the years. He's been on the show. He's interviewed me on the show. He's a blessing. He's a gift. Actually, yeah, Janine, I could think of so many. Jeff Burrows. Oh man, so many people. Greg Russian. So many people. Tony. But we have some really beautiful cultural stewards of culture matters, and that, and then it's whether it's one person or 15, like somebody like a Tony or an
Why
Andrew.
do you think he sends you so many? Why is he so committed?
I think if I do the best possible job, I'm honoring two relationships, not counting whoever listens. If I do the best possible job, like, Mark Perkins, where were you born?
Yeah, right.
Do you
Yeah,
have siblings?
right.
How many?
Yeah, and so
What's your origin story, Mark?
here's the thing. Here's the art of this developing these relationships to make it seem like a sincere, interested question. Because if you're like, "How old are you? Where are you from?" No, it's like, "Hey, Jay, this is interesting. I'm sitting here on this podcast. You said you had 1,008 today. How the heck did this thing start?" But and so, so the answer is, if there's anything I can share, is you really have to be interested. And we hear this word curiosity. That's what makes a great podcaster. I mean, the Rogans and the Stephen Bartletts and these guys, they have massive preparation for their podcast. They have access to a hell of a network now, but those guys are seriously curious. And when they're a really curious human, what they're going to do is they're going to sense out the tiniest nuance when they're talking to someone and be curious about every single part. Because when you were talking and I was listening, you talking about Tony, and you're like, because culture matters. And even though we know each other well and, you know, we've been in each other's presence and being here on these shows, why does culture matter? Like, why does it?
Well, maybe if it's, we witnessed that last week. Hey, I have a question for you in the very beginning. When do you remember the first 3 years? What was the culture then? When you had pivoted from that other
Yeah, where
more
everybody started. Yeah.
well-regarded,
Yeah.
instantiated in the community
Mm-hmm.
brokerage,
Mm-hmm.
you had
I,
pivoted to pivot.
I
What was the
just saw,
culture the first 3 years?
um, well, you have to go to why I started it because I think that's what so many people don't do. Like, you need to document what the hell you want to do. And that's in line with goals. And so I just wanted to have the most amazing real estate company to work at as a realtor. And when I looked around the marketplace, there was no company that lived up to the attributes of the place I wanted to work at. And so the only way that I was going to be able to work at that company and be a realtor with those attributes, I looked around and I had to start it. Wasn't interested in it, didn't want to. And so I would have preferred not to start it. And looking back, it would have been much easier not to. I would have had more liquid cash. I probably have more equity, whatever that means, because you don't realize it until you sell it or you leverage it. But I would have had more actual cash if I wouldn't have started this company, if I would have just stayed the realtor, because I would have been number one in my marketplace out of 13,000 realtors. There's no doubt in my mind. And people would, well, why is that? I could share why that is, but it's hardly ever the smartest person that becomes number one at something. That's not. I never see it as the smartest person. The smartest person usually like overthinks it. But the pivot was just, I looked at the industry and I'm not, so that what I've done a good job at, I'm sure I used to be anti some of these other so-called competitors in the marketplace. Cause when you're trying to grind it out, you believe you have a better way, but they're still achieving more financial success than you. But now I don't care what any of these people in my industry do. I don't care the volume their companies produce. I don't care the number of agents they have. None of that matters to me. The only thing that matters is, are we living up to this commitment that I had all the way back in the beginning on living up to this place that I still wanted to work at? And I think that's the culture. But I also looked at consumers and I just felt like they deserved more than the current marketplace in my industry was delivering. And so that we were going to have to pivot away too. That wasn't just about the bottom line. It wasn't just about the next commission. It wasn't just about defending whatever the idealistic statements on the wall were. So we pivoted. When I say we, I mean, it was just me that had the idea and started it. But the moment I hired a second person, it became we, and it's been that ever since. So, but I don't think, what was the culture back then? Just doing it the right way.
Mm.
I think doing it the right way. And people are like, what's the right way? We all know. Every single one of us know. Whatever job we're doing right now, whenever someone listens to this, or if they listen to it in the evening, whenever it comes out, the job that we're doing right now, we're going to do tomorrow. The vast majority of all of us humans and all of us Americans, we know what doing a good job at our job is.
How do you talk to your conscience? Does it talk to you? Do you talk to it? Or both?
Um,
Does it have a name?
I don't have an alter ego.
Like Socrates, you mentioned
Yeah.
he had his daemon.
Yeah.
So my first question, how do you talk to your conscience?
Do you think my conscious is actually me?
Do you have a do you have a philosophy around that?
No, I'm just, I don't.
Well,
Mm-mm.
because doing
'Cause
it
I
the
know how
right
I talk to
way.
myself, so I know how to talk to myself.
Yeah, so because you said doing it the right way, we know. So how do you know, and what does that conversation look like? Do you hear Denzel Washington or
I'm paying
Liev
attention to the
Schreiber?
micro I'm paying attention to the micro outcomes on what I'm doing every 5 minutes, every 30 minutes, every 60 minutes, at the end of every day through reflection. And that's where you come up with this 1% better, these micro improvements every day. You actually know. You hear people talk about, hey, you can't just wait for 5 o'clock to punch the clock because that's what they're focused on. 5 o'clock will come. So the important thing is to actually focus on the task and focus on the job. So whatever I'm doing right now, to be totally present, the only thing I'm focused on is focused on this conversation with Jay. I'm not focused on how long it's going to go or if I'm tired or not, or my 15-hour day or what's waiting for me at home. So there's so many things that we could talk about. That's the reason why you need to have a good partner in life, right? That's very conscientious. You need to have really good quality people around you that are helping you move your day forward. So I think you need to be present in everything that we're doing. And so whenever I leave this podcast conversation, the next thing I do, like I'll probably work until 2 a.m. here at my office tonight. So the challenge is not to focus on the next task, not to be stressed out about the next task, to focus on the thing that is directly in front of me right now. And if that's all I'm focusing on and I care about doing a good job, I'm going to be able to be real honest with myself every 30 minutes, every 60 minutes, every 2 hours, as simple as like when you're sending a text, is this the right tone that I want to use? And if you arrive at this place, we're in our 20s, 30s, and now I'm in my 40s. I think that's why experience matters so much. That doesn't matter the degree of the college you came from, or specifically, it could have a liberal arts degree. Um, what matters is it doesn't matter if somebody, just because they're 25 years old, doesn't mean they're young in their intelligence and their brilliance and their experience. It just means the years they've lived. But I've seen 25-year-olds that are way beyond 40 and 50-year-olds based on their experience. So, um, I think the more that we do something, the more experience is garnered, and therefore we can teach ourselves how to do a better job. It's just being in the moment, being very intentional in the moment,
Mhm.
focusing on the one thing that we're doing. I think multitasking is bullshit. Every time that I try to listen to it, like before we jumped on, I was listening to Matthew McConaughey and Joe Rogan talk. It's the most recent one. And they're 45 minutes in. They really haven't talked about anything yet. Maybe they will. But because I like them both. I like how their minds work. And see what's funny is I don't have to agree with either one of them. That's where I don't know if I would be friends with Rogan. I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I don't know, but I probably wouldn't. But McConaughey, I don't know. He actually might be a little bit too of a deep thinker than me. He might be like, oh, this guy's too surface level. So I just know I like listening to two really good deep thinkers and see what they have to say. So I don't know what you take from that, man, but how do I talk to my conscience? Maybe the advantage I have is I want transparent, honest truth about my outcome every day. That's what I want. It doesn't I don't let the hurt feelings that I would have through somebody being honest with me affect me from keeping going, move forward, get back up. And so what I do is I talk to myself that way. Mark, have you done a good enough job this hour? Have you done a good at the end of the day, did I live up to the commitment I made to myself? Is this pushing me towards my goals that I have in 3 or 5 or 7 or 10 years? Right. So we hear all these gurus. I love a lot of them, man. Like I've listened to Tony Robbins more in the past year or two than I ever did. Right. Jim Rohn pops up more than he ever did on my feeds. But the crazy thing about Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins learned from him, Jim Rohn, he really didn't tell us anything practical. Not too much. It's all mindset stuff. It's like the most important thing is the philosophy you have for your life. So, um, but I think the people that have figured it out do a really good job of being transparently honest with themselves and holding them accountable, connected to the goals and the desire they have for their life. And I know if I mail it in on any given day, man, and I don't give everything I had that day, I'm pushing it. I'm pushing my life back one more day that I don't get to live the life I want.
Wow. If I understand you correctly, I think it's a very profound point here. Focus on the thing in front. I wrote this down. Focus on the thing in front of you right now. I'll be able to be honest with myself. To me, that's extremely powerful, and here's why. The person that's not focused on the thing right in front of them, that's focused on something else, they're in the wrong time, so their space is not effective. It's like a disintermediation of time and space. They're in a state of anxiety. Of course, they're going to lie to themselves. It's a very profound, very tactile thing. If you're focusing on the thing right there,
Mm-hmm.
you can hear yourself being honest.
Mm-hmm.
If you're somewhere else, you're in a state of anxiety. Of course, you're going to rationalize or BS.
Mm-hmm.
It's very profound. But tactically, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would our listeners, are there actually focus on the thing in hand? Are there things that you would recommend, or or is there a time where you couldn't or wouldn't, or would self-sabotage in that way that you, or even now could potentially, if you're not careful?
It's a very confusing question to me, and it's not because you posed it confusing. It's confusing because the approach is so simple, and I'm not trying to be condescending. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, hey, when you were 13 or 14, and I don't tell these stories to be substantial. I actually tell the stories because I think 70 to 80% of the people in our society live these similar lives. Like I was working full time at 13 and 14 years old. Like I don't know if that's real and relevant anymore. And the reason people are like, how'd you do it? It's because I did homeschool. And so I went to normal public elementary from K through 5, and then I did homeschool from 6th through 10th grade.
Wow.
So, in 6th grade, what are you, 12 years old, right? 11
Sixth
or
grade? Yeah,
11 or
11.
12, right?
Yeah,
So from the
12.
time, if anybody can understand this, so from the time that all of us were in 7th grade, if you go back to that place on 7th or 8th grade, I started working full time. And it doesn't matter what the job is. If you're a 13 or 14-year-old kid coming from a very blue collar background, um, with positive and negative experiences in their life, like all of us have, um, you're doing menial jobs where you're just a commodity, where you're exchanging your time for some labor. And those jobs were like on a maintenance crew at a nursing home that my mom worked at.
Wow.
Then it was the next year working for full time for a landscaping contractor for a guy who went to the church that I was raised in and
Hmm.
did that for 2 summers. And so the reason why I say all this is to say people have heard the story and it's going to be in the book that we put out. But I realized at 13 or 14 or 15 years old from pulling some weeds, I won't go into it anymore, but I just knew this guy was paying me like $3.50 an hour or $4 an hour. And what that might mean now is the kid working at Walmart picking groceries for somebody to come and pick up at 16 years old that's getting paid, I don't know what they make, $8.50 or $9 an hour. So that's actually the same as me making 350 or 4 when I was that age. And so I just knew that that employer, that guy who hired me, who was running a blue collar job, and we were doing landscaping at multi-million dollar homes, and all the owners driving back and forth, and a lot of them were mean and they were jerks and they were stereotypical country club people, and not that there aren't some good people there, but they were very judgmental. And so they treated me like a laborer. But that 13 or 14-year-old kid, regardless of all that, see, I didn't focus on the rich lady driving by in the gold Jaguar driving up to the top of her house that overlooked the river in downtown Cincinnati. I didn't focus on anything. I just know that this guy paid me $3.50 an hour to pull those weeds in that flower bed today. And the tough comprehension for most people is there is a direct line for Mark Perkins from that 13-year-old kid to where I'm sitting here at 46. And I just did the same thing every day, man. Sometimes it was pulling weeds. Sometimes it was working at a hat store. Sometimes it was selling real estate. Whatever it was, I'm just going to do the absolute best job that I know how to do throughout every single day. And what happens is you wake up 33 years later and there's no one that you have to listen to about anything about life. I get to dictate every piece of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year that I want to. But it doesn't happen overnight. I haven't seen, and I've really tried to figure this out. I don't want to just go deep into my own mindset. I've tried to figure out like, who did this happen? Who did success happen really quick for? I really have tried to go into my network and people I'm around, and even the followers of millions of followers on, like, who's the one that could dispel this idea that it's hard and it's uncomfortable and you have to do it for a long period of time? Unless you hit the lottery or somehow in 2007, 8, and 9 bought Bitcoin because somebody just told you to buy it for like $1. Unless you just got really, really, really lucky, you still don't know how lucky you got for another decade. And look at all the people that win the lottery. Their lives are disasters. And so Jay, I have never seen, and I'd like to hear your answer to this, all the people. I
This
have
is
never
awesome.
seen anybody have a high level of success in any field. In government, this would apply to somebody that works in a police department that rises to become a captain, an assistant chief, a chief. This would be somebody that goes from a teacher all the way to become a principal and then goes into a central office job and they become an assistant superintendent and a superintendent. Those are 20-year journeys. And so the awesome thing about entrepreneurship and operating a business, you can actually do this thing in 3 to 5 to 7 years, but you probably are going to have to do some things that you've never done before. You're going to have to make sacrifices that you never comprehended you were going to sacrifice. You're probably going to have to lose who you've always been to become the person that you want to be. And but it's very simple. You know, that 10-minute rant I just went on, man, it's very simple because my entire life unlocked by just taking the thing in front of me today. So if somebody's making a Subway sandwich, usually the person that is a general manager of a Subway, I'm just pulling that out, started making sandwiches part-time. That's usually how it goes. And then a lot of times you'll see somebody who opens a franchise. They started a job somewhere. That person most likely was not handed the keys to ownership of a franchise through some family member. It's not how it goes. 80 to 90% of the people are self-made.
Okay, this is my notes here. Yep. Time without sacrifice equals purgatory. Because we don't have the character to sustain it or burden the consequences of the results. We like
How
if
do
you
you define when you say we don't have the character to do that?
when you're pulling those weeds,
Mm-hmm.
what core values are tested when the farmer, when everything the farmer is doing has a consequence? And yet, and no matter what the farmer does, ultimately there are things beyond the farmer that are completely out of their control.
But you can't worry about those
And
because
when they
everybody does.
happen, all you can do is respond as responsible as possible.
And the response needs to be not to change based on what you're coming, just keep going. Like I think that's the reason why the
So, like,
first
what does that
podcast we
do to a
did,
human being, right?
it
Well,
makes
it
you strong.
speaks
It
to
makes you
the
stronger
core.
and more capable when you work through the hard. When you don't quit and you keep going and you get through the hard, the next time you face that similar hard, it's easy. And it's easy for me to say, but you have to commit to the thing. And I think, and the reason why our first podcast that we did 300 and something, where it was commit to the outcome or whatever it is. Um,
It's a great show, by the way. Anyone listening to this, got to
yeah,
go over there.
I think that, but here's what's great about these podcasts too, man. I think that every time I have another conversation with someone, I learn and unlock more about me, who I am, about my mindset, and I'm learning. I just don't think it's more. I get really frustrated when people add complication into processes these days. Because what I have seen, I'll make these definitive statements. I laugh at people when they make them because I'm like, oh, that's a big statement. The only reason why we add steps in processes is because we don't have the fortitude to see it through when it's hard. So then we try to circumvent it and make it easy, and we add another step, thinking that, well, there's got to be an easier way, so let me do this thing. Usually I've found is the way is just through. We could say around and under and all that same thing is through. So,
Yeah, that's very biblical of you.
well, I don't remember any of my Bible stuff, man, because I didn't go to church after I was 16. So, hey, what I used to know the books of the Bible from beginning to end, man. Yeah, I knew them. I could quote scripture at 14 years old. They were trying to turn me. They were there. It is. They were trying to turn me into a Baptist preacher or something, man.
On life and conduct, a good name is to be more desired than great wealth, Mark Perkins.
Good name.
Favor is better than silver and gold. The rich and the poor have a common bond. The Lord is the maker of them all. The prudent sees the evil and hides himself, but the knave go on and are punished for it. The reward of humility and the fear of the Lord are riches, honor, and life. I keep going, but Proverbs 22:12 had it out here for old Charlie. We're pivoting back to this topic of philosophy. Epictetus said, don't teach me your philosophy, embody it. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
you're re-invited here, Mark Perkins,
Mm-hmm.
your biography, right? From pulling weeds. You said you weren't focused on the high class woman with the high class car. You were focused on the what? The
Here's
opportunity at
No,
hand,
here's the thing.
the,
Here's the thing.
the
That guy
responsibility.
hired me to do a job. And I knew if I didn't do the job properly, then he wasn't living up to what he agreed to for those people, right?
Wow.
And what I know in that moment, here's the thing. I couldn't have, as a 13 or 14-year-old, I wasn't blessed. For those that are religious. I wasn't fortunate enough. I couldn't have seen myself sitting here. I didn't see this destination. I'm telling you, I didn't. I just committed to doing that thing, and what we should do for this, whatever the thing is.
Wow.
Like, and so that's why I think being a competitive person matters too. The same thing when I was playing a neighborhood basketball game with friends. If we were playing 21 ones and twos, are you kidding me, man? Like, the only thing I was focused on, not the cute girl standing over watching the court or impressing somebody else. It was the next damn point. And the reason why it was the next point, because I wanted to be the first son of a bitch to 21. And nothing else mattered. And see, at the end of that game, then you decide if you're going to play another one. Or then you decide if you're tired and you can go home. That's what happens so much. People don't finish the journey. Finish the journey and then decide if you want to take another one on. Right? So I haven't ever run a marathon. I don't know if I ever will. I think everybody thinks we will. I don't know if I'm willing to commit the time to prepare my body and my cardio so I don't die to do that. But I just know if I did, man, I can't comprehend not finishing the race.
If you're all in
Yeah.
and our listeners are they're focused, that's a word they take away from this, focused on
Mhm.
the opportunity, the responsibility at hand. They recognize how someone else will be accountable for their deeds or their misdeeds, okay?
Yeah.
What advice do you have on when to pivot?
I think it's probably different for every person, man. What we have to become good at is knowing when it's time to do something different. And I don't have the answer for that. Um, what I do know though is the vast majority of people I see is they quit too soon. Um, if you're going to give up and quit on a goal that you set for yourself, the only way I can describe this is you got to make sure that the reason that you quit isn't because it's hard,
Yeah, that's good.
right? Because the next thing you're going to want to do is going to require doing the hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. So it has to be some other reason. Like, I think there are unfortunate things that happen in our lives that are out of our control. I mean, how often do you see somebody, a significant other, a spouse, somebody that is the most important human in your life? They have some grave medical thing happen and you need to like pause your life and take care of them. Right. So there's probably a strong argument that it's probably important to do. And so the thing needs to wait a little bit. But everybody needs to have an honest conversation. If you're going to stop or you're going to pivot, if you're going to do that, you need to have a real honest conversation with yourself that the only reason why you don't change course, it can't be because it's hard. That just cannot be the reason. If they quit because it's hard, if any of us quit because of it's hard, um, I don't think it's necessarily about that individual thing you're quitting on. It's the person that you're creating. You're creating a quitter. You're creating the DNA that's letting yourself quit when it gets really hard. And the greatest things I have in life have been really hard.
Uh, what would you say? How does it feel to not quit and then succeed?
It it is that satisfaction lasts like this long because if I'm really honest with myself, I don't think I'm ever gonna quote get there. Um, because I'm always going to be a person that's setting a new goal. Now, what I do admit to myself, there is this category of goals that when I do achieve them, I'm going to feel personally um, satisfied with myself. But this is why I don't like people giving me accolades. I don't like awards. I don't like people telling me great job. Based on what? I'm on the 3-yard line of a 100-yard journey. It might look like I completed it to you, but I did not. And so that's a balance. So I think that I'm always going to set that next goal because I have such huge aspirations that it's going to be almost impossible for me to achieve them in my life if I get to live 75 or 80 years. If by some chance I get to a place by the time I'm 60 where I can really say, hey, man, good job. You've impacted enough people. You're living the lifestyle you want. You have the convenience in every part of your life that you really want to experience and feel. If I get there, I will smile and I will almost be like Snoop Dogg. See, a few years ago, he was giving that speech just before AI was a thing. You know where I'm going with this, right? So he won an award or something. I don't think it was a Star Fame, but he won an award. And he gets up to the mic, and everybody thought he was going to say the same thing everybody does, thank all the people, and he kind of did. But then he got to the end, and he said, and most of all, I want to thank me.
Okay.
And then he went on like 7 things. He said, I want to thank me for the late nights.
Wow.
I want to thank me for making all the sacrifices I made. I want to thank me for not quitting. Like he went on that journey. And the things he said are the things it takes to live a big life.
He's a deep guy. We know this. Yeah.
So I think way too often people want the world to thank them way too soon.
What is something Dave has taught you with his example?
Who?
Dave, isn't he in the studio?
I have 18 Daves in my life, but Dave, the ultimate producer here, because I got Jack
Yeah.
here, we can't leave him out. They came in
I
late.
know I'm gonna get to him too.
What did and ask the question again?
Something Dave has taught you. What has he taught you with his example?
He's taught me that we all shouldn't expect each of us to live the same life. I don't have a family. I've been with my significant other. We've been together 17 years. We don't have kids. We're not married. An awesome committed relationship, but Dave has what we would consider the traditional family. Really nice wife, and he's got 2 kids. He has like the ultimate family. Lives in a nice house, done things the right way, makes 6 figures inside my businesses. Um, he has done life from most people's through their lens completely different, but he's very happy. And so we all don't have to do it the same way. There's just 1 or 2 principles that if you're going to work together and do big things together that you have to have. And this first one is you better try to do a good damn job. It's what we talked about here. I don't care about short-term failures. I personally don't care about these short-term outcomes when we're just not having the level of achievement we want, but you better give everything you got. And that's an indication. I didn't have to ask. I was surprised that they were going to come back in the studio tonight. I didn't have to ask them. And so we all can take this life and approach it differently, and we have different goals and different aspirations. But if you still take this approach, like whatever I'm going to do, like let me do it the best. When his 2 kids grow up, I think his goal is probably to have them live a little bit better life than he's lived himself. I think every day, probably the most important thing for him is the dad he is to those kids. I would tell anybody who's a parent, that's the priority. But then what I do say is when you leave them and you come here, I need you to give the same level of effort here at work and be just as committed as the dad you are for your kids. Because I think we should do life the same way. So what I've learned the most from him is we don't have to do it exactly the same way, but the way we do it's really important.
Man, employer of the year. I'm gonna cry. How about Jack?
I love joking with him so much. He's been out of college for 3 years. This was his first career opportunity. He's still here. As tough as I am to work with, he's still here somehow,
It's
some way.
10:06 p.m. Eastern. He's still
Um, he's still here. So I think I love now being around younger people than I am. So I'm 46. Um, it's very important for us to watch younger generations and to continue to grow through them, through the way that they're experiencing life. And without being these adults and these bosses and running these companies to tell them to do it our way, I just have objectives I want to achieve, but just to see how they're processing things and how they're living life and the spirit that they live with. I just really want people, and this is him, I really want people to go all in with just living life to the fullest. Like he just tonight before we came on, we're here in Cincinnati, and what happened to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. If you're a big sports fan, he went down again. The guys had like this is gonna be his 3rd year-ending, season-ending injury, and he's supposed to be the best quarterback in the NFL now, like the next Tom Brady. But he's like, that's okay. And he's like, man, but Arsenal got that win today. He's a huge soccer fan, English Premier League.
Mm.
And he comes in and wears his Arsenal jerseys. He spends $200 and something for these new jerseys every time they come out. They've got him printed like this is our customer. But I could care less about soccer. But the passion, when we approach life with passion about the thing that we say we want, that's what I want to see people do. So he smiles as big about Arsenal soccer that anybody does about anything in their life. And so I love to see these young humans when they go all in and they show passion. I appreciate that because what it makes me plug into it a little more every day. Don't be so focused on the tasks and how busy you are and all these things. Just get a little bit of smile, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of passion out of your day. And if that's through sports, good. If that's through your family, good. If that's through your business, good. Yeah, I hope to continue to keep learning from all of them yet. I'm still waiting for him to. I'm still waiting for him to sit me down and teach me something. I'm just kind of. I gotta watch. I'm waiting for like the young Yoda to roll up in my office one time to be like, "Ooh,
How
look at
many how
Perkins
many
Mark you are."
how many real estate professionals now
We're working on it.
roughly
We're
in
working on
your
a couple
midst?
hundred. We're
100?
working.
Few
We're working on a
hundred?
couple hundred. We're about 800 behind where I want to be. Um,
So yeah, because you had mentioned something earlier about family. So I'm just curious how many family members you actually could fit in that building. It must be somewhere like 300, maybe
yeah,
more.
yeah. I think we'll be capped
That,
out
that-
comfortably, but that's when we buy more. You know.
that's a big family, big beautiful family you got there, Mark.
You know, I did see one of our agents post something here. I'm going to read it. I'm going to pull it up. I have my phone to the side. One of our agents. I like the people that are really uniquely different than me, but when they're a good quality human. And so he recommended somebody to come work for us. We aren't some MLM, man. I could go into the real estate business. We're not multiple tiers, but if they refer somebody quality to them, we give them a percentage of their commission as long as both of them are working at the company.
I just want to say, I think you and I predicted Keller getting bought out. I just
Now,
want
I'm
to say,
not going
I
to say
think
anything
you.
about any names and any companies. I'm going to
Oh,
let you
I
do
said
that.
that. I think
Okay. Here's the thing. Here's what I like. So
okay.
Puck McNay, he's an agent with us, Pivot Realty in Cincinnati, Ohio. He said my buddy at edgar.exam.sir just officially became a licensed real estate agent with the Pivot Realty Pivot team, and I couldn't be more pumped for him. He goes down and he talks further. Like think about this. You know how competitive the real estate business is. He's promoting somebody who just got licensed on his own social media, his real estate page. And he said, I have 100% confidence that Edgar is going to be a top notch agent. On top of that, he's a skill builder with all these things. And he said, so give a big hug and Cincinnati welcome my good friend and now fellow licensed agent Edgar. The Pivot team, I didn't say it. The Pivot team just got stronger, and I couldn't be more excited to grow alongside him. So you said big
Wow.
family. Yeah, man, I hope as big as this thing gets, I hope that a lot of our agents that work at the company still feel this way. That's what I hope, because it still feels like a family, whatever that is to people.
I want to say, as we close part one of what does it take to pivot, the way you show up reminds me of Charlie.
Why is that? Like, that's a big statement. I don't think I live up to that. The marketplace has not said so yet. So
There's a spirit.
hmm. I mean, listen, that guy. Here's what
There's a
here's what I
level of,
believe. Here's go ahead. Level of. Let me
we were
go here.
talking about it before we hit record.
Yeah. So here's what I think. What I love is that I'm not. I don't know what the right word is, right? But I'm not religious anymore. I don't know if I'm spiritual or not. I don't know if I'm a believer or not. These words are stupid. They're all dumb words. What I do know is that um like the 10 commandments, I don't care where they came from. I don't care what, pretty good rule book to live by. They didn't really get it wrong with that one. And so I don't care if somebody's a Muslim, if they're Hindu, or if they're Jewish. Like, that's, who cares who wrote it? Live your life that way. So what I'll say is about Charlie, I say this because he was a Christian from singing his beliefs from the top of the mountain. And I just know that that guy, people want authenticity. Huh. He gave it to him. He gave it to the world every single day. And man, I tell you, if we all at 31 years old, the strength and the confidence and what people don't know this most, and the humility that guy had, and they don't think that's it, but it is it, because he was willing to sit and entertain anyone and not be threatened by those people's opinions. And to be able to do that, I am not around hardly any humans. Like, because here's what I'd say. So, like, people who would maybe be on the left, or liberals who would be the opposite side of him, if they would take that same approach, right? If they would take that same approach, that's the only chance they have to have the world they want to live in. Because you're not going to get it by screaming and killing and shooting and beating up and insulting. You're not going to get the world you want from doing it. What you have to do is you have to go out into the world and live the exact way that you think is the best way for this society to be, and be nice to people and treat them well and convince them that this is the way without shouting. If everyone does that, what an incredible society. But there is hardly anybody I'm around, man, that has the confidence, that has the humility, that has the honesty, the transparency in their own beliefs to sit and listen to someone else, let them vet it out and say, all right, I heard that. I want to ask some questions to understand. But hey, also, I want to share my perspective and why I believe these things. What do you think? Um, that guy was transparent and authentic, and probably obviously what just happened, man, probably a little bit too much for where our society is, which is a little bit disappointing.
He was a necessary entrepreneur.
And I can't
You do all those things, Mark Perkins.
yeah, I don't even I think here's the thing, man. What I do, here's why I don't think it's as significant. What happened to him is not going to happen to me because of what I do. And so um I don't think it ranks on the level of willingness and significance. Now, in the business space, I'm willing to go out and share my thoughts about real estate and pivot away, and it's why I named the company the way I did. But you don't think that that guy knew that what he was doing was real dangerous? I guarantee he did, man. And he still showed up willing to do it because he believed in it completely. Now, I'm not saying what happened should have happened. I haven't, man, this is the first time I've talked about this publicly. So a lot of people felt like a need to get out here and impact society and share their opinions and share things. Here's what I think. Um, Anybody who believes that killing another human being for what they think um doesn't, I'm going to go out on a limb here, man, because this is me, this is judgment. I don't like judgment. They don't deserve to be in our society, man. Um they don't have a place. They shouldn't be impacting culture. That's the people, like, when it comes to free speech, that's not free speech anymore. That's supporting ideology of violence at a place that you think that you have superior ideas than individuals, and that's what you're going to do to them for. So screw people's politics, man. Screw their religion. Screw these. If any of it leads to this place of violence, I do a good job of not judging, but I'm going to judge. You almost deserve the same outcome that you imposed on somebody else, or that you're verbally saying should have happened. And that's not eye for an eye. They're negatively impacting our society and our culture. So
I just want to give my testimony that
Yeah.
I see the willingness to share one's thoughts. I see a willingness to have the conversations, the uncomfortable conversations, a willingness to give people with differing views in a different context on your platform, and I acknowledge you for that. It's always a blessing to have you on the Culture Matters podcast. I know that Charlie be very proud of us doing this show, going deep into some of these very they may be simple, but the complexity of the universe, life, calls for simplicity. Focus. Here's my takeaway: focus on the task at hand. Do the best possible job.
You'll change your life, man. You'll change your life. That's how simple this is. Be great at the thing that's in front of you right now. You will change your life.
Subscribe to the Necessary Entrepreneur. There's 145 plus unbelievable episodes, unique, different people coming on and sharing their philosophies, both spoken and unspoken, with this great, amazing friend of the Culture Matters podcast, Mark Perkins, Dave, and Jack. We're all here together late at night, and we're excited. I'm excited for part two and three of what does it mean to pivot. And we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast. Go listen to episode 343. Commit to the outcome. If you're in the real estate business and you haven't pivoted yet, get it together, please. Woo! Go read Proverbs, and we'll see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast. Thanks, Mark Perkins.
Thanks, man.